Hello, welcome to this week's video. Today I want to talk to you about change and the importance of being able to surrender to change. Now, I'm a person that has always found change difficult, and I've caught myself saying several times in my life, I don't do well with change. I'm not good with change. I don't love change. I've I've turned a corner recently in the last few years um, to where I've become more comfortable with change because resisting change any longer became more uncomfortable than accepting the change and surrendering to the change. There came a turning point in my life where resisting change became a lot more internally full of pain than just surrendering and letting the change take me where it wants to go. And I think that's an important key, that change is one of the main vehicles in which we grow and expand as a person and as a soul. And if we don't allow ourselves to surrender to that energy, surrender to the energy that change has for us, then we're shortchanging ourselves to grow and expand to a level that we came here to grow and expand to. So change is actually really uncomfortable for a lot of people. And one of the main visceral ways that it's uncomfortable is that it triggers our nervous system in a way that makes us feel like we're in fight or flight. So if we're changing any aspect of our life, whether it be we're just starting a new diet, or we're wanting to get out of a relationship, or we're wanting to change jobs, or we're wanting to change some sort of aspect about ourselves. Say there's an aspect of self that's really judgmental, and we want to disengage from any sort of judgmental mindset or talk with anyone else. That's a big change. Whatever the change may be, and whatever the situation circumstance looks like involving the change, it triggers our immune system saying, this isn't what we normally do. This isn't the normal path we go down. This isn't the normal thought pattern we normally go down. This isn't the normal behavior we normally go down. And when our nervous system feels like something's not normal, then our bodies, our physiological bodies, feel unsafe. And when we feel unsafe, we click into fight or flight, or we can click into fight or flight. And in the terms of change, fight or flight would look like you either fight the change, so you decide to make the change, but you're fighting it internally. You're saying to yourself, I hate change, I don't want to do this. And you make the process of change less expansive by fighting it. Or you could choose to flight, retreat from the path that change is taking you down. Even though it's a positive path, it feels not natural. And so you revert back into the old pattern, you revert back into the old way of being or living, or into the old relationship that's not serving you, and you resist change completely. The problem is here, when we revert back completely in an effort to feel safe, because even though the old way of thinking or being or doing is, it feels familiar to us and therefore it feels safe. But it's not safe, because the fact of the matter is we felt called to make a change because the old way of being and the old situation, we had outgrown it. And so now it's like falling back into an old shoe that no longer fits, from a size 7 to a size 5. And so you go back to the old ways of thinking or the old patterns in an effort to feel safe, but then you just feel squished and smothered when you just try to make yourself feel safe about reverting back into the old way of being. So the ways that we can start to feel comfortable with change is to first realize that change is almost always taking us down a journey that leads to blessings and positivity and expansion. And the ways that we can start to surrender into the change and allow the change to happen is to first realize that the change is going to be for our greater good, and then to surrender to the change. Surrendering is hard because oftentimes when we decide to make a change, we don't fully know what that looks like. We don't fully, like, say we decide to quit our job and start something new for ourselves. We know we want to do that, but we're not quite sure how that's going to shape up or how that's going to unfold or happen. And there's where the fear and resistance can come in. But if we could feel into what it feels like on the other side of that change, then we can begin to start to surrender. And what I mean by that is we might not often have a vision or a clear picture of what the change might actually look like, but we can feel into what that positive change would feel like. So if you're making a positive change that alludes to you growing in some way, you could feel into how you're going to feel on the other side of that change. You could feel into deep peace and deep joy, and how that would feel for you to be a new version of yourself with a new, deeper sense of peace and joy inside. And from that, you can allow yourself to feel deeply grateful for that transformation that you're going to have, and almost feel it like it's already happened. And when you allow yourself to feel grateful, you're allowing yourself to feel what the transformation is going to feel like. Then you can surrender. So in order to make change feel less mysterious, if you will, you can just do a little imaginary game with yourself and allow yourself to imagine what it's going to feel like on the other side of making certain positive life changes. The feeling of inner peace, the feeling of inner joy, the feeling of more ease in your life, the feeling of more resonance with others in your life, whatever it is that you're really yearning for from an emotional standpoint, allow yourself to really feel into that, and then follow that feeling up with gratitude. And then allow the gratitude to allow yourself to surrender. Because change is really positive, and it can be really enjoyable if we allow it to be. So I invite you to do that in your life. It's really been transformational for me when I go on another path of some sort of transformation or some sort of change. I hope this was helpful to you. Until next time, much love. I'll talk to you next week.